whenever you're ready. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Roaches Ramen at gmail.com. Welcome to the Roaches and Ramen Show. Thank you, everyone that's taking the time to click on the last 2 episodes. It's been kind of a ride, a good ride. And Lena and I are going to actually have a follow-up episode to kind of review episode 1 and 2. And I just wanted to start by saying thank you to anyone that's taking their time out of their day to kind of either get inspired or just to be a fly on the wall and to kind of get to know who I am. And who am I, you may ask? I am Danimal the Great. My name is Dan. I am the host of the Roaches and Ramen Show, the home of the struggle, zero to hero. We're here to motivate. And like I said the previous episode, our guests have arrived, and I love talking to the locals here. I love talking to my community. I like reaching out to my community. And I just want to introduce one of the fellows. I call him Josh the Knight. Everyone, this is Josh, my neighbor. But I had to have a conversation with him because he is definitely from the land of enchantment. And let's say hi. What's up, my guy? How are you?
How's it going, Dan? Thank you. Thank you for
a
having
little
me
closer, just there, a little closer onto the mic.
And again,
there we go.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you again for having me here. It's
thank you for moving next to us.
It's been a journey for me, and I'm glad I got to experience life. And if I didn't get this chance with you, I wouldn't have never, I guess, experience or share my stories with you.
Thank you for wanting to share your story. I'm not originally from here, so talking to everybody that is from here, one of the things that I like always asking is how it was to grow up here, because I hear a lot of the stories of like golden era here and how it used to be, and then I am experiencing this town how it is now, or this state how it is now, and as a traveler, when I used to go on tour, around the country, I would see many cultures and many different lifestyles or ways of life that always intrigued me. And people don't realize this here when I tell them this. When I tell them, like, I've been everywhere around this country, and there's no place like New Mexico. There's no place like home, like here.
Exactly.
You and so to me, I like digging into it because I love this place so much. So I'm kind of doing like my own personal research by living here, and it's just because there's so much unity here. There's so much pride here that I didn't see across the country. And so now that I'm here living and being amongst the people, the community here, and that is now my community, and which I'm proud. I'm proud to be a New Mexican now. Oh my goodness! But one of the caveats to that is that I get to talk to people like you, like yourself, that's been born and raised here, and the type of men and women that this state has forged. There's a lot of good in people, even though we get a bad rap.
So, like with me being born in Las Vegas, New Mexico, and just my experience, I've played college football in Arizona. Nothing like New Mexico. Like, New Mexico's my home. The food, the culture. We're like, especially us New Mexicans, we have that fight in us. Like most people don't. Or I guess you say most cities or like most cultures don't have. Us Hispanics, and especially New Mexico, it has such a diverse culture
and a different type of Hispanic.
Yes, like we have that. We have that fight. Most of us look up to Johnny Tapia. Mi vida loca
Shout out
Tapia.
to the Tapia family.
Yeah, exactly.
My boy my boy fought at their gym or started training in their gym when that was his first like big gym that he went to, and so shout out to Tapia.
Oh yeah, and it's just like us as New Mexicans, we have this fight in us that no matter what we go through, we always find some way to unite with each other. Whether that's through, like me personally going through the Hermit's Peak fire back in, I believe, 2022, 2021. I never seen so much unity within the community, especially in New Mexico.
Awesome.
And like me going through that, it was such a wow, or like an awe moment. Because it's just like we almost lost everything. And you had to rely on one another, and then...
And this is that fire that happened in Las Vegas, right?
Yes.
That it was started from Hemis and it spread all over to your guys' mountains, and there was an Angel Fire one, right?
Yeah, there was a fire in Mora, Santa Fe, and then it eventually like combined, and it was starting to make its way to Vegas.
It stopped right in the nick of time, though, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Funny that you bring that story up, because I was working at the library, at the city library. I was doing work there for we were putting new cameras, and they had to evacuate us. They had to evacuate the building. We were getting to work, and they were like, "No, you have to suspend your work day because it was the smoke was thick around the whole town, and you could see that glow coming.
Yeah, you can see. Yeah, you can see the flame.
Crazy,
and it's just like me experiencing that. It's just like it's weird. I call it like I wouldn't say PTSD, but it's just like every time I smell like smoke, even with my job, it's just like I don't know. It takes me back to that time where it's just like I could have lost everything that my parents or that my mom, because she was born and raised in Las Vegas. My dad was born in Springer, New Mexico. So it's just like over there in Vegas, my mom, I almost seen everything that my mom worked for in generations just go down the hill. And, I'm fortunate enough that nothing ever happened to us, but, just seeing some close friends, relatives lose everything, you get a different perspective of life. And then like with me moving here to Albuquerque, it was a different culture change, different, just the people, Burqueños are different. Like me from, I call it the nasty north where I'm from.
The nasty north. So we're currently in Albuquerque, and Las Vegas, I would say, is like 2 hours away from here, right?
Yeah, almost 2 hours.
Right. And you just mentioned that Burqueños and Norteños, as you would say it right now, are kind of different. Can you explain that and elaborate that for the people that don't know New Mexico? And that difference in that culture?
So, like me being born in northern New Mexico, it's a lot of respect. I was born and raised on respect, and a lot of us grew up on ranches or are ranchers. And
good for you.
Being like, I would say that's the biggest difference I've noticed so far is the respect aspect. Is you can go into a store over here in Albuquerque or any store. You can hold the door open for someone, not even a thank you, yes sir, yes ma'am. Just it's the respect thing for me.
It's that amazing etiquette culture that America used to have, and we essentially have lost.
Yeah, 100%. We
that chivalry. I love that, man. I love that. And good job to to Las Vegas for having that type of culture, because you see it around there. Every time I stop by there, everybody's so nice. Hey, brother. Hey,
just the way, and just the way
it's so inviting. It's
and just the way we talk. It's just like we're a very tight knit community. As with tight knit communities, word spreads, and of course, in Las Vegas we have our ups and downs, but it's just like we don't have the luxury as Burqueños or Albuquerque, because we're going through this water crisis right now over there in Vegas, where people can't shower and there's water restrictions because of
I didn't know that. That's wild.
No, because the ash in the water. Yeah. So
I
it's
forget that we're in the desert out here, man. We're in the upper desert, but you guys are more like mountain range, but
Yeah.
still, like you get.
no,
For
yeah,
you guys
yeah.
being a mountain range, having water difficulties, that's kind of wild.
Well, it's because of the Hermit's Peak fire, because of the ash contamination. That's what screwed everything up.
Yeah.
But it's just like that's why I always say,
And it's been what, 5 years?
Yeah.
From that, and still having that. Yeah, it's crazy.
and that's why moving to Albuquerque. I have my days where I do miss home. Because I miss being around my parents. But
How was it? How was it growing up in Las Vegas? How was it, man? Because I know we're gonna hear stories about how it was here in Albuquerque, but Las Vegas is kind of out there.
Yeah, so with me, I grew up on both sides of the track. My mom used to sell dope. My grandma used to sell dope. My dad was in the military for 25 years, and I got to experience both sides. I had family members that were doing some stupid stuff.
It's crazy too. I just met your parents, and it's crazy to
Yeah.
think that, because to me, you see them as parents, seeing their son, the granddaughter, like you're moved on, and so I see them as just parents. Like I would have never thought, but I forget that
exactly.
people have their past that they their footprint that they laid out. So it's
yeah.
crazy to even hear that. And your mom's so sweet. She was so nice, dude.
Yeah, and it's just like looking back, I see why my mom did half the stuff and my grandma did half the stuff, because it's just like, okay, my dad was overseas. Yeah, there was some sort of income coming overseas, but at the same time, my mom had to put food on the table.
She had to do
what she
had to do.
Exactly.
Yes.
I don't hold any grudge. I don't hold any
judgment
because at the end of the day, like, we're all human. And that's what some people forget, and it's just like some people get on this high pedestal where they act as if they're superior, and it's just like, no, like some people need a good humbling sometimes, and it's just like, I've been humbled.
But I feel like anyone that I've met that's come from Las Vegas, either in the construction world or the trade world or anything, they are grade A, salt of the earth. There was one guy that he was a shit ass.
Mm-hmm.
And but you could just tell that. I'm like, I don't feel like he represents what you guys are.
No, and it's just like with that community, and especially like the way I grew up, it's like, okay, like especially for my dad, him being from a small town in Springer, New Mexico, and him meeting my mom, and eventually having me. My dad was really strict on me, but I thank him for that, because without that fatherly love, I wouldn't be the man where I'm at today. And it's just like, you see some of these kids out here in Albuquerque, or these teenagers, they do have that father aspect sometimes, but sometimes they can be their own wrong crowd, and they get pulled into some things.
Or they take it for granted.
Yeah, they take.
I hear a lot of stories where mom, dad came from like kind of the outskirts of the state and not near Albuquerque. Then they move here, and obviously this is a fast life and it's a little more expensive. So mom and dad have to work, and because they're working so hard, they take the kiddos take it for granted, and then before you know it, they're fulfilling their time. What it becomes is they become unattended children, and then that's when they get their attention somewhere else. And then you get the whole, hey, let's get it. Do it for your guy, fool. And then, boom, there it is, But I also hear stories that even though they came from the outskirts and came either from Reses or from other cities, came to Albuquerque, and then mom and dad were there, and then they were strict, and there was that value of just respect and honoring your parents and having self-respect for yourself because they taught you that, and then they become, fortunate knights like yourself.
Oh yeah, and like, don't get me wrong, like I've seen some stuff growing up where it's just like, okay, I never want to be in that position. Seeing some relatives doing some stupid stuff.
Like what? What would your relatives do, man?
just
knuckleheading
yeah.
out there. What were they doing?
I would see, I would see, discretion, viewer discretion or
Yeah.
listeners' discretion, but, I would see my uncle hold up a knife to my grandma. That's one thing I'll never forget.
That is wild.
He was so drunk off his mind, and he held the knife up to my grandma's throat. And I'll never forget how my dad took it.
How old were you when this happened?
I was probably 10 or 11.
You could definitely remember that.
And,
What was wrong with your uncle? Was he just drunk? Was he like, was it drugs?
So eventually my uncle was a severe alcoholic, and then eventually he started turning into, he started shooting up, and, just being surrounded by that type of environment, and then, with my mom and my grandma doing those things, it was really intense. And I'll never forget the time how CPS almost got called on me because of I would see like these little foil balls, and I never knew what they were, and just I would take them to school and I would fill them up with salt, and I would try to sell them to kids. That's I knew, I didn't know what it was, but my mom and my grandma were selling crack. And
so this was in your possession. You just didn't know what it was.
No, yeah, but it was just like these little foil balls of salt, because I would see them, and I would make them because I would see my grandma and my mom.
Monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
and I remember I was probably like first grade.
Wild.
Yeah.
Pay attention, everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Those kiddos pay attention, dude. Oh my goodness, bro.
And just hearing my mom like, "Are you stupid?" And I was like, "No," and like, and I for the longest time, it's just like I was starting to become the product of my environment. I remember I wanted to sell weed. I was stealing weed from my brother, trying to sell it at school, trying to make a profit.
So it's not because of boredom or because you guys. It's just because you're trying to make a buck. Is it because you're trying to hustle?
No, yeah, and I would see my brother in nice cars, the jewelry, and it's just like the women, and it's just like, okay, you see stuff like that in movies, but actually experience it. It's just like it's like whoa, I can't believe I did that.
Okay, so you say your brother, mom and dad exist. Brother, sisters, or is it just you?
So I'm the middle child.
You're the middle child, okay.
I have three older brothers. I consider myself a black sheep in a way because my brothers, no disrespect to them, but they all have, like I said, everyone has a past, and if it wasn't for my brothers getting into certain situations, I honestly wouldn't have learned from them.
What's a situation that you can highlight that you were like, fuck, I never want to do that?
Whenever my house got raided for the second time.
Raided?
Yeah, by the feds. So that was experience. I believe my brother was the most second wanted person in New Mexico at the time.
Was your family a family that was involved with that, what they call the drug corridor?
Yeah.
So because it hits like from Cruces to Socorro to
100%.
to Belen to Albuquerque, right? And then it just spreads over to like Espanol, Santa Fe, Espanol. These are just stories that I'm getting.
No, yeah,
I'm just
100%.
confirming. I don't know if you can confirm that, but
And it's just like no, yeah, like like I said, I'm an open book, and with that, it was just a crazy experience, because my brother would be like, all right, I'm gonna go do this. He'll come back with $100K in a day, and that's more than people's salary,
or they will ever see.
Exactly. And it's just like you're a teenager, you want that. Then after experiencing the raid, and I'll never forget what the this DEA agent told me. He was like, I want you to remember this day, and I want you to remember this feeling, because I never want to see you end up in this place. And that changed my whole perspective of things, where I wanted to become a sports nutritionist and, go into some type of field like that. And ever since that day, I've wanted to go into law enforcement.
Good for you. That's where the Josh the Knight started happening. Totally can relate, man. I started smoking weed at 14.
Same here. Or mine was a little bit younger. Mine was like, 10. I would after my brothers were done smoking the bong, with like a gas mask. I would they would hide it underneath the table. I would go grab it, and then I would just try to smoke it because I would see my brothers smoking weed.
How old were you?
Like 10.
Yeah, so it's really accessible to you. Yeah, you started really early.
Yeah, and it's just like my mom worked 2 jobs. My grandma was taking care of me. God rest her soul. But it's just like,
thinking back, I know my cousin meant for good because he saw that I was my attention wasn't there. He saw that like I was too loopy and that I had all these swings. So he was the one that was like, you know what, like fuck, I'm gonna do. He took me to my aunt's salon, and he's like, "You're never to fucking tell anyone we're about to do." But he saw that I was isolating myself from the world because I just didn't fit in with everybody. At home, I didn't fit in with the cholos and the hood because I was too white, and you're too much of a white boy. And then at school, because I didn't have too many friends, or I was too weird because I liked music so much that I took it too serious.
No, yeah, exactly.
So it was always that dynamic. So when I started smoking weed, it alleviated a lot of that anxiety that he saw I was going through, because he was like, dude, this kid, I don't know what to tell this kid. I'm a shit. He was a shit ass himself. He's smoking dope. He's smoking meth in the back of my aunt's hair salon. In the one little back room. He just lived there and he just smoked it. You can smell it, right? It says that it's, that you can't really smell it, but you can smell it.
Yeah. And growing up in around that environment, especially with my line of work, I have a certain, I can detect smells like that.
Right.
Like,
right.
Especially when it comes to like, crack heroin, fentanyl, those smells.
No, you could definitely smell
and
it.
It's just weird.
Or at least like the incineration of something that you're incinerating, right? Mm-hmm. And then just to make a quick point, I can relate because he was like, this is how I make my money. I smoke this, so I can't give to you this all the time. But if you do want to smoke without, if you don't have money, then you could sell this. And then he introduced me into the world of sales, and because he knew that my mom wasn't going to have them. He knew I was getting good at music. He knew that I was going to do all these extracurricular things that going into high school. So he knew that damn, my tia doesn't have the money for this. So, and I overheard her talking to my mom about it, my tia. So he taught me how to sell, so I'm able to afford it. The moment he taught me, that's like giving you a hungry kid an opportunity,
Exactly.
And I ran with it. So that's why there's no judgment there. And I mean, definitely people can lose control. He lost control. Where I never saw him pull like 100,000, but for you to see $100,000 in cash that young, when in your vision supposedly, or through your optics, I don't know how I was. I'm just assuming through your optics, you guys were in the struggle. So you're like, how is that we're in the struggle, but you have $100,000?
No, yeah, exactly.
It's crazy.
I would see sometimes Corvettes pull up, and it was my brother's partner eventually. And, that was my brother's downfall. And then that's where a lot of people...
What, betrayal?
Yes.
Greed? Someone...
Exactly. And it's just like,
Does your brother live still?
He's currently in a halfway house, so it's just
good for him.
No, yeah, he did federal time, and it's just like, I'm glad he changed himself, but at the same way, he still has that prison mentality, and most people,
at what cost, pretty much, yeah.
And it's just like, honestly, and experiencing that at such a young age, I don't want to give my especially my stepdaughter that type of environment, a toxic environment, where I'm establishing these boundaries at such a young age with her, and it's just like and
which I commend you for that.
Yeah, and
which I commend you for that, by the way. This is why you're more of a knight, or more of a heroic knight to even myself, to Lena, and to our kids. Just as our neighbor, I see how you know, even though she's your stepdaughter, to you, she's your baby. She's your, you know, she just turned 3.
Exactly.
You know, and she loves you, dude. So it's just beautiful to see that optic. Just wanted to throw that out there. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, and it's just that's seeing my girlfriend and my stepdaughter just motivate me, and with my girlfriend working extra hours, that's what pushes me. And I'm like, okay, what's I can. It's always in the back of my mind if my girlfriend, or like specifically the biggest person that I lost just recently was my grandma.
Sorry to hear that.
And that was, thank you, brother, but that was like last year, and it's just like if my grandma can go through dementia, go through her stroke, and still wake up every day with a smile on her face, what's one more rep?
Hell yeah.
What's my excuse? What is seriously my excuse? Because looking back, that lady would always call me, "Hey, Hito, how are you doing?" I'm doing. Oh, hey, Grandma, I'm doing all right. But at the end of the day, it's just like I have to take into consideration is I have to live my life the way she wanted me to. She didn't want me to get into trouble. She didn't want me to see the things I seen as a kid. So she tried shielding me from a lot of shit.
What unconditional love does, that's what it is, man. Like, you don't want her, the love that your grandma had for you to ever go in vain. That's why I believe you made that. Okay, so you said that there was that fork in the fork in the road when that officer spoke to you and said, "Remember this day," right? And is that was that a pinnacle moment for you to, and the epiphany moment to be like, okay, I'm going to change my ways. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that.
Oh yeah, and
I mean, you still made some mistakes, but like, obviously, you're here wanting to be in law enforcement, and to me, you already are, which we'll tap into it, but it kind of elaborate on that after. Elaborate from that fork in the road. What happened to you mentally? What happened to your psyche?
So I remember just seeing a couple. I remember. So I'll start from the day it happened. It was my senior year, and I believe it was at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and I remember just hearing the door break down. I'm in my bed. I see my brother because we didn't have any doors. So there's my room, there's the living room. And I remember just seeing like these red lights. And I just see these dudes in some body armor, and they snatched my brother up. They told me to put my hands up in the air.
Did you guys share a room?
Oh, no. So the way my parents' house was laid out, so it's my parents' master bedroom in the back, my sister's room, my room, and then the living room. So it was like we didn't have any privacy,
Right.
So they told me to put my hands up. I remember getting body slammed because I freaking out. So I got slammed by a federal agent.
What a wake-up call, my guy. Jeez.
And this was like during homecoming week.
Dang.
And I remember being placed in cuffs. And they're like, "Do you have anything to do with this?" And, like me, I was in high school. I smoke. I would smoke here and there, but just like I was in sports, I was in football, baseball, basketball, wrestling, and then just having
straight athlete. I mean, so at that moment, your athletic body, yeah, they're gonna throw you on the ground, man. They're gonna be like, no threat here at all. Like, boom, get them in. And
and I remember
get pretzeled.
Just being placed outside in cuffs.
Man, those cuffs suck, bro. Oh my goodness, dude. I hate them, dude.
And then just seeing the helicopter go above my house, and
it was like that. Yeah. It was like full on, pomp and circumstances. There was a bunch of units.
Oh yeah, the state police blocking off the block, and then the DEA, the U.S. Marshals. So my brother was a pretty high target within within that aspect. So
you said he paid his debt to society, right? How long was that?
So he did 5 years. He's currently awaiting trial. So, but there's some hiccups, whenever he got out, especially living here in Albuquerque, there were some hiccups where I was like, okay, I kind of didn't want to be around him anymore, if I'm being honest, because it was just like, dude, you're going back to your old ways, going back to that prison mentality, picking fights for no reason, just starting shit, doing some shit that I was like, oh, all right, I can't be around you. And
you think there's obviously he can be saved, you know, but but do you think he has the will to save himself from that type of lifestyle?
no, because all with my brother, he knows nothing but hustling. He knows nothing but hustling, and that's what he's gonna do till the day he dies.
Damn, that young programming, man, it got him.
Oh,
It really got him, bro.
Oh, my uncle, he passed away in like 2006. Who my brother looked up to him, and you know, in New Mexico, my uncle was an S&Mer. That's a well-known prison game. The Sindicatos de Nuevo Mexico. My uncle was an S&Mer, and my brothers looked up to him. You know, everyone, and until this day, people will know my uncle. All the old timers, all the OGs back in Vegas, they tried to mess with my little sister. They tried to mess with me or my brothers. They're like, all right, no, that's
Sometimes the Cosa Nostra like mentality. Sometimes I feel like it's a good safety net.
yeah, and it's just
and I should be disagreeing with it because obviously we believe in this country, we believe in our culture, we believe in our society, we believe that there's, you know, law and order, and as it should be. You know, I was a knucklehead once, but that was just every time I was in trouble with the law, I was just fucking up my future, essentially. You know, no better way to put that, but it was just a whirlwind of chaos that it would create. And now that I don't complicate my life, and now that I have Lena and Danny and Olivia in my life, I live peacefully because I believe in law and order. You know? So I don't know why people complicate their lives like that, but I can't blame your brother, you know?
mm-hmm.
And I can't blame that lifestyle because it's a community. It's a small community, and you know, and I like that you guys stick together like that. Because you guys are so out there, and the response time for even law and order over there is probably such a long time that it's better that the community handles it. So when it came to the protection side of the gangsters and the cholos and the homies y todo, like, I don't know. I felt way more safer in my neighborhood than in other places in Southern California. I just did.
Oh yeah, and like with my uncle, it's just like, even though he's been gone for this long, it's, you know, oh, you're Pablo Diablo's nephew. He was a crazy.
What was his name?
Diablo.
Diablo.
Yeah, he had the devil tattooed in the back of his head.
Oh, whatever, dog.
Yeah, so
He was deep.
Yeah, so with S&M, it's one way in, or blood in and blood out. Plain and simple. And
Right.
knowing that, the fact that my uncle did some pretty messed up shit, and then like I remember him getting out and him changing his life. He wanted out of that lifestyle. He wanted out. But again, with S&M, it's a contract. You're not getting out.
Wait, are you saying that he went out the way I'm saying he went out? Damn.
My uncle got murdered.
You're like, I'll go out that way then, in my terms. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Dio Diablo. Damn, that's crazy, dude. It's different out here. There's levels to this shit, dude. This is why they call it the Wild West over here.
Mm-hmm. And just
this place isn't for everyone. I tell them, dude, this is not for everyone, dude.
And then, like, just to piggyback off that story, it's just like the guy who killed my uncle is still walking the streets of Las Vegas. He mocks my mom sometimes. And it's just
wait, that guy still exists and he mocks your mom?
Yeah.
What the fuck's going on? Wait, what?
No, yeah, he back then, that guy only got 10 years in prison, And I'll never forget this one story. Also, I was getting a haircut.
Because that's her brother, right?
No, yeah, that was my mom's. My mom is the only child left. She lost both her older brother and her baby brother. The baby brother was my uncle Paul. But I'll never forget this time I was getting a haircut, and this dude, he was like, you look familiar. And I was like, yeah. I was like, you probably know my family. And he was like, oh yeah, I was there the night. When your uncle was in the hospital, getting operated. Because whenever he got to the hospital, he was still alive. He was like, your uncle screamed like a little bitch while I was getting a haircut, and I remember looking at him, and I told my barber to stop the haircut.
Rage baiting, bro.
And
he was rage baiting for sure.
Yeah, and I'll never forget that. And my barber was like, you guys can go handle this. And the guy was like, hey, no disrespect, but me and your uncle didn't get along. I said, you better have some respect, because that guy's been dead for some time. So whatever beef you guys had back then,
it should have gone down with the grave. Yeah,
it's done.
But you're saying he still does it. He's like still like current. Yeah, jeez. Some people,
he brags about it, because my uncle was, within the prison system, and that's one thing I've learned from my dad, because he was a CO as well, is that there's different levels to, there's ranks within the prison system. My uncle was one of the highest ranks. He was like a lieutenant within S&M, so he was pretty
high.
He was the enforcer.
Right.
So if shit needed to get done, if someone didn't pay their dues, he would beat the living shit out of them. And if things had to turn into, all right, you're gonna get shanked until you pay up, and so be it.
Right.
And that was the one thing about my family. It's one side is like, okay, my dad was in the military. He was in corrections. My dad's not perfect. He's gotten a couple DWIs, but it's just like at the end of the day, he's like, I messed up. I came back from Iraq messed up, and it's just like I've seen that guy growing up. Countless times of him just being wasted on the floor, drinking 230 packs of Bud Light every day.
That's just a broken man.
It
becomes from being socially, like just a social drinker, to just not being able to stop, to like he like something broke him. It has to be where like he was trying to escape something.
Oh yeah, just being overseas, seeing the stuff that he did.
That's crazy.
And it's just
man,
like,
that's why I have so much respect for our veterans, man. Like, geez, the stuff that they get to see or experience,
Yeah, and it's just like, with my pops.
Shout out to our vets.
No, yeah, and like you said, you met my pops just
dude,
recently.
I had to shake the hand of the man that raised you. I and this is what I spoke about in a previous episode. It's kind of like, could there be dysfunction? Yeah. Could there be, judgment? Yeah. But in the end, you guys are family. No one's perfect, but the fact that, like, even with the stories that you're telling me and you're sharing with us, which thank you, I had to give the man the respect, because without him forging who you are, or even either through good or bad examples, you want to do good.
No, yeah, and like,
you really do.
Yeah, and it's just like, some people, they go through some traumatic stuff in their life, and they resort back to their old ways of selling dope, drinking alcohol, doing anything they possibly can from to escape. But that wasn't me. I wanted to get out of that situation. I got tired of being known as so-and-so's nephew, so-and-so's son. So and that was my
you wanted to leave the shadow.
No, yeah, and it's just like, I wanted to form my own legacy, where it's just like, okay, like, yeah, I have I have my ghosts from my past, and they still follow me every day. And that's okay. I can't mess this up because I can end up like this person or this person or this person. So that's always in the back of my mind. Even at work, if I mess this up, I'm gonna be all over the news. I'm gonna be all over social media. So that's always in the back of my mind.
So for people that don't know, and for our listeners, what do you currently do? What is your profession?
I'm a security officer for the city of Albuquerque.
Great, and thank you. You guys put it down. You guys definitely help out for sure. I see it when every time I have a show down there, I see you guys cruising by and just making sure that everything's good, or helping people. I like that people that just get wild, knock their noggin. You just see them. I see you guys and your crews just like putting them on the curb while they're leaking.
Yeah.
But so yeah, thank you for what you do, man. Yeah.
No, yeah, and it's just like it's been a journey with the city of Albuquerque. I've had my ups and I've had my downs, but I'm grateful that I got to experience what the government's like, because a lot of people don't know what the government's like from as just being a functioning member of society as a regular citizen. But like working within the city, you see a lot of things where you're like, okay, it can get pretty ugly sometimes, but at the end of the day, I'm grateful that
they're sustaining it. They're sustaining whatever it is, 16, and whatever exists here is what it is when it comes down to a lot of the homelessness, a lot of the drug use, a lot of the crime. It's that's that bad rep that usually the 505 gets. But I like that when I spoke to you definitely have seen a lot of the worst, but you've also seen some really cool stories, some good uplifting stories where you're like, man, I've seen some good people out there, people that have helped you along, through your journey or through when you're doing that tough job. So there's a lot of good in this town, but there's also obviously a lot of the grime that we experience. But overall, Albuquerque's a shit.
Oh yeah,
we're a great town. It's not for everybody, and I always say that it's not for everyone, but for the people that do and are resilient to the extreme weather, to the extreme cold, or to the extreme heat, whatever it is, or whatever it might be. In the end, there's still that sense of community, that different type of Hispanic here, the different type of culture because of the many cultures that surround us and the many nations. Because it is many nations that surround Albuquerque, which I believe we are the epicenter of the Southwest. I believe that New Mexico is the Southwest.
And 100%. And it's funny that you said that because we took a trip to Denver, and I was like, talking to my girlfriend, talking to Alyssa, I was like, babe,
shout out to Alyssa.
Yeah, shout out, babe. I was like, babe, I miss Albuquerque. I want to go back home.
Yeah.
And it was just so weird because like I was complaining, and I was like, oh, I need a vacation from Albuquerque, and then just leaving Albuquerque and being over there in Denver, and I'm just like the green chili, and
it's enchanting. Regardless of you wanting to believe it or not, it's enchanting. There's no place like New Mexico. There's just not. There's not. Try to prove me wrong. I mean, this nation, this country is beautiful. The South, beautiful. The culture is good.
New Mexico is just different.
It's just different. It just hits different. Out of all the four corners of the of the states, it's just different. And people still can't wrap their heads around it. People that are not from here, that when they come here, they're like, "Oh my goodness, you guys,"
So it's.
Or they're like, "What kind of currency do you guys have in New Mexico?"
I'm just like
the dollar, the same thing. We're from what?
No, yeah, and I remember a lot of people. Whenever I went to Arizona to go play some college football, they were like, "Oh, you're from Mexico?" And I was like, "No, I'm from New Mexico." And I remember them just seeing my license plate, and
they're like, "Can I see your passport?"
No, yeah, exactly. And I'm just like, I'm just like, what are you guys even talking about? And they would see like my license plate, and they're like, how come your license plate is the only one that says like USA? I'm just like, because numbnuts like you guys don't know your
nuts. He said,
and it's just like,
yeah.
and I'm just like, dude, man, like, you guys are going to a Christian university, and you don't know simple geography. Like, come on, it's just like, oh, you live in Texas, but how did you fly from Texas to Arizona? And they're like, no, we drove. I'm like, okay, you passed through New Mexico.
You went through New Mexico.
It's just like, I don't know, and every time, like, even playing on the video game with a couple of the buddies, they're like, oh, what's New Mexico like? I'm like, dude, New Mexico it's unique. It's different.
Very unique.
The culture. And it's just like, especially in Vegas, like, you have, especially a lot of outlaws, famous outlaws. Like, you have Billy, the most well-known outlaw is Billy the Kid.
Billy the Kid from here, yeah.
Yeah, he's from...
That's crazy.
He
that story is still very prominent here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he's huge here.
Like Smokey the Bear, like over there in
Rio Doso.
It's...
I like that he had a transformation. I like that he was chunky, and now they had him all in. He's buff. He's just like, what's up?
And there's a lot of famous people that come from Mexico.
Oh yeah,
and it's just like, even us.
Well, now New Mexico's becoming the new Hollywood.
Yeah,
I mean it really is a lot. A lot of the influx. I was part of the influx coming in here after 2020.
Like, look at the movie Red Dawn, the OG Red Dawn.
Yeah,
filmed in Las Vegas.
Hey, let's not forget the biggest masterpiece in all of series and TV or TV series. I gotta work on my S's. The TV series Breaking Bad. Huge. I live next to Walter White's, or near Walter White's car wash, or his house. We're pretty much neighbors. Yeah. We're neighbors to Walter White.
I know.
It's awesome. I love that they did that here because it highlighted, like, it's what made me want to come over here.
Yeah.
And I only understood it because I was only a one per night visit or weekend visit here until we started tour. Until, like, the groups that the bands that I started working professionally, we would always start our tours out of here because you can go anywhere in the country because we either have the 25 or the 40, and that takes you everywhere. So yeah, I love this place. But you love it so much, or you love your state so much, and you like your community so much, and you saw all this havoc that you wanted to you inspired to be a law enforcement officer. How's that journey like, and what's next for you in this journey in law enforcement?
It's been rough. I've applied to a couple agencies, and as you know, I was going to Border Patrol, and things ultimately fell through with that. But it's been a rough journey, from failing PT tests to failing psychs to polygraphs. It's been tough, but at the end of the day, there's not. I don't feel bad for myself. I just gotta keep on going, and I think that's what. Yeah. Yeah, and it's just like, I don't have an excuse. At the end of the day, I am and I will be a law enforcement officer.
I believe it. And
it's just like, don't get me wrong. There's some bad.
You're young, right?
Yeah.
How old are you?
24.
24. You're so young, dude.
And
baby.
Yeah, and there's a lot of, like, bad apples, bro. And it's just like social media portrays us like as, like, we abuse people. And
I don't get it.
I
don't get why we. I mean, in the end, we're all humans, guys. And in the end, law enforcement was meant for good. To just be there for the community. But I mean, they deal with just the bad. I mean, there's more bad than good in their world,
Exactly.
And you gotta understand that. And I don't know why we, what? And I feel stupid for at one time when I was growing up, I hated the police.
Oh, so did I. 100%.
I was like, fuck the police and all this shit, and then I started working hard for myself, where I'm like, you know what? They're pretty cool. Because I would work hard, and they would come over to the restaurants that I would work, and they were just nice people, great people. They would tip good too,
Mm-hmm. And I think especially like with me, working for the city, I've seen some things where I'm just like, okay, I can see why the community doesn't trust APD.
And that's why I wanted to talk to you, man.
Yeah,
I wanted to talk to you about this because you are the boots in the ground, and you've seen it from both sides, you know. And so, because we get a bad rep, and because you are out there, I kind of wanted you to kind of elaborate on that a little bit. You know, you kind of, I just want you to kind of explain to people why you guys get a bad rep and why you guys shouldn't, and then sometimes like you just said, we do get a bad rep because of these circumstances.
Oh yeah.
Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, and it's just like the response time. You know, like for example, me and my girlfriend yesterday we're dealing with a lady that was going through like through this mental health crisis. She had like dementia and she was lost. The response time was an hour.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, it was an hour, and just
that kind of sucks.
Yeah, and even just my stories is just like, okay, with my profession, it's really tough because you see a lot of stuff, and it's just like, okay, how can I handle this or certain?
And there is where it took a shit. Gosh, it was such a good conversation too, and I thank Josh for coming over and just joining us and sharing his stories. And I do want to do long form. I'm trying to figure out this whole malfunction. That's the reason why I haven't been I've either been late or I haven't been able to put a podcast out there because I've done quite a few now, but it keeps on going and distorting, and it started distorting really nasty there. So my best friend John, he was like, hey man, it could be your buffer size. So I've been trying that out. Hopefully with this clip that I'm doing now, it's going to get fixed, and I can continue to do what I do every week, and maybe more long form, and maybe I can do more than 50 minutes. So anyways, again, roachesramen@gmail.com. Thank you so much for joining us. For sure, Josh is going to be coming back, and he's going to be finishing that controversial statement. I get it. We stopped in such a controversial subject, but it was so good. We still have 20 minutes or 25 minutes missing from that conversation. If I could save it, I would put it out because it was that good. And same thing. I did one with my son and Tal. Same thing happened. Bam! It crashed out in the 50th minute. And then I did my whole solo pod that I haven't released yet, which I'm gonna have to do a redo because last night I tried it, and then again been having technical difficulties. But it's all growing pains. It's growing pains. But regardless of the growing pains, I'm glad I'm here. I'm here with you guys. I'm sharing this time with you, and that you're joining us, and that you're joining me, and thank you for all the support. Again, roachesramen@gmail.com. That's it. That's where you got to go. I want to hear your story. Tales of the struggle, 0 to hero stories. I want to hear them. Any motivation story, any success story. Because struggle can come in many ways. Doesn't have to necessarily be financial. Anyways, I love you all. Thank you so much for being with us, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.